Hey folks, this is part 6 of Blender Challenge 13, modeling an isometric room, and I have chosen to model this reference image, and this is where I'm at so far. Alright, so I'm going to do another section today. I'm going to work on this piece right here. Alright, so this is simple Blender modeling for relative beginners. I hope it's simple, and here we go. I'm going to bring in a cylinder. Let's see where I want to bring it in. I'm going to choose that object and set the origin of geometry on that. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come in here, and in edge selection, I'm going to choose this edge and this edge. And the reason I'm doing that is because that gives me my gizmo here, right in the middle. I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected, and bring my 3D cursor right there. Go back into object mode. Now when I bring in an object, it's going to come in right here, and I'm going to pull it down. It's relatively central. So I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh, Cylinder, and I'm going to leave it at the default value, I think. But for the cap fill type, and that's the ends here, instead of end on, I'm going to choose nothing. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to press S to scale and pull it down here, and then come back and start thinking about how big it's going to be. So the actual diameter of the circle here is, maybe it comes to about there and about there. So let's make that, let's look from the top. Let's go S, make it a bit smaller, and let's pull this up. Imagine it's resting on the ground around about there. I'm going to Shift or Alt A to deselect, and Shift. Sorry, what did I do there? I'm holding down Shift and Alt, clicking that edge, and I want to pull this up to a certain height. I'm not quite sure how tall it's going to be. Maybe the underside where the glass is maybe comes up to about there or so, maybe a bit higher. So let's just go with that. Okay, so I've got that piece. Now, before I start cutting away at this thing, I'm going to make some copies of this circle part of the cylinder so I can do the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to Shift D and pull it up. I'm going to go P to break it out, to separate it from the rest of this object. So separate by selection, go back into object mode. So I've got that there, and I can use that for another part. I'm going to set the origin to geometry on that. Now my gizmo or my transform tool, whatever, is right in the middle of that, and I'm going to do the same on this thing. So everything is just organized like that. Okay, now let's see how I want to do this. So this piece looks like it's got a part here, and then it's connected down there. So what I think I'll do is I'll go into edit mode for this, Control R to add a loop cut, and then I want to split this, and I want part of it to go up to the top and part to the bottom. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to go Control B and pull. I'm going to make sure I don't have any segments in there by rolling my mouse down to 0. And I'm going to pull just like that. I get like an even amount here and here. I can deselect. So this is what I've got right there. And at this point, I'm going to start deselecting parts of this. What I might actually do is, let's take this and go Shift H just to focus on that. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to look from one of the orthographic views. I pressed 1 there for front view. What I'm thinking of doing is I've just pressed 3 to go into face selection, C for paint select. If I select those, how many do I want? 2. And what if I go Control 1? That's not what I wanted to do. Let's Control Z. and select those ones. I'm thinking of those would be the ones I would keep. And if I shift, again, shift alt and click there, shift alt and click there, and I've got all of that selected, I would then go Control I to invert my selection. All right, I'll go Control I again. I've got that. Control I, got that. X faces. Delete that. Just leave those pieces. Now, if I do that, you know, when I look here, you know, I've got this, and I've made it 2 faces wide, and this piece, and the bottom, and you don't see the top, but I'm going to assume that it's there. I'm now going to come over to solidify to give it some thickness. Click that, and you know, just look at this and decide how thick I want that, and that's might be all right there, to tell you the truth. So let's go ahead and apply that, and then let's also add subdivision surface of 2. Okay, see what starts to happen. So now we go into edit mode, and I'm going to go Control R, click, and just let the edge loop fall. I'm going to do the same on this one. Control R, let it fall. With that one selected, or even if it's not selected, go Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click. And now I want these pieces here to be not quite so sharp. So go Control B and pull, and I start to get that. I do want some rounding, and I don't want pinching. So I'm getting this. Let's select that and shade smooth. And now we'll come in and we'll put some more edge loops on here to tighten this up. Control R, I'm going to bring one down and up like this. I'll do the same here. Up and down. And I'm getting this effect. Now, this edge here is a little soft, so I'm going to come in here and drag an edge loop into the middle and out. Into the middle and out. And now I can see the thickness of that a little bit better. I'm going to come up to the top and do the same thing. Into the middle and out. And let's do that to the bottom as well. Into the middle and out. Doesn't always have to go right to the end. So hopefully that's okay. And that gives me that piece there. Let's go Alt-H and bring everything back. All right. So I've got this main part here. Let's just do a little disc on the bottom. Do those pieces later. And that's why I saved this piece. Shift D to duplicate it. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to go into edit mode. I press 1 for vertex selection. I can just see it a little bit better. I'm going to S to scale it out. I just keep coming back. It's pretty wide out there. Come out a bit more. Okay. And I think for this piece, I will E and S, scale it in, and come into there for now. And then I just have to decide. I think it's probably a solid base, so I think I'll Shift Alt and click those vertices and press F to make a face. That'll be a big end gone, but I don't think I'm going to have a problem with that. Shift Alt and click that edge. Actually, let's A to select the whole thing. Bring it up just so I can see it better. Shift Alt and click that edge. And I'm going to E to extrude and pull it down. Do that. I'll pull that down in a minute. Let's try going to edit mode. I'll go into 2 for edge selection. Shift Alt and click that edge and Control B to bevel. Maybe I'll do subdivision on this. Put one edge in there and then I'll go Control 1. We'll try that. Shade smooth. Let's probably good enough. Now, this piece actually doesn't go into the floor too far. It's got this. And I think I'll bring it right to about here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to scale this in the Z a little bit, make it a little bit less tall, bring it to about there. And if that's there, then I can take this and that piece, bring it up. Place that on there. Maybe a little bit more. So we have that. And if that's not sharp enough for me, I can always grab this edge and pull it up a little bit more. Now, this is some kind of a pod or whatever, so this part would be the frame. There actually has to be some glass in there, so I'm going to use this again. Shift D. I'll bring it down. I'll go into edit mode. I'm going to scale it so it looks like it's inside. All right. Let's bring it up there. And 1. And let's go E to extrude. Pull it down in. Select it. I might make it a little bit smaller. We got that. Let's shade smooth. So we got the glass in there. I can adjust the size of that if I want it, maybe actually a little bit bigger to push out into that. Okay, we got that thing going on. This thing, cool. So far, so good. So that, this, we'll do some glass. Let's do this piece and let's make this part of it. Okay, now, I don't know if it comes out the same diameter as that or not. One thing we could do, actually, let's move that out of the way, is copy this, Shift D, bring it up. And I don't have a bottom on that, I'll worry about that. Well, let's do that right now. Let's see. How about if we just E and S, pull it in, and then bring an edge loop down to tighten that up. I might need one more edge loop on this side. Control R and just slide it out. Doesn't have to go right to the very edge. Although if it does, we get a nice sharp part. And then what if we came in here and number 3 for face selection and selected that piece, and let's see if we can build this. What I'm going to do is, let's see, let's just go E to extrude, pull it up. Let's go S to scale it down in like that, so we get that angle here. Let's delete that face, so we have this. We'll sharpen this up by go Control R. We'll bring in an edge loop there, and I'll bring in another one down here. So we'll get that. And then we need to come in a little ways and then dip down. Okay, deselect, Shift and Alt, click that edge, E and S, come in a bit. And then we'll go E to extrude and come down. And I think I'm going to stop at that point. Show you what I'm going to do next. First of all, Control R to bring in an edge loop here. And we'll bring one in here. Let's just look at that. Make this a bit sharper with another edge loop here. Perhaps one more, not there. Coming up. Okay, that's what we've got so far. And then we're going to make another piece that goes in here to make like the end of it, the cap here. I'm going to make it as a separate piece so I can do a cut. Now, you know, sometimes I would use maybe Substance Painter to do that, but I'll do it as a separate piece of geometry. So let's just take this piece now that we have. Go into edit mode. Let's pull it down, scale it. I think I'm just going to press F to make a face for now, and just leave it there and come back to that thing later. Let's set the origin of geometry on that. I'll pull it up a little ways. now, that's how tall the whole thing is. And I am wondering if that's too tall. I'm not too concerned yet. Then there's this kind of pipe thing, and then there's this thing and the wires and stuff. So let's just grab one of these maybe off the wall and scale it to do that. And I think actually in looking at these, let's shift H and just focus on them, press the period key to zoom in. I think I'm going to make a change here. I think I'm going to select, let's select both of them with Control plus to expand our selection, and I think I'm just going to pull this piece out to about there. Actually, maybe I am going to, let's delete, let's reverse that. I might come out Control plus one more. I think I came out enough. Let's do that. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. Alt H should bring everything back. Let's take one of these. And here, let's do this. Let's select this, Shift S, cursor to selected. Bring my 3D cursor there. And then take this, Shift D, pull it out. Let's rotate X 90 minus, so it's standing like that. Okay. And then take this and go Object, Set Origin to the 3D cursor. So the origin of this object is 3D cursor. And now Geometry to origin. And it will bring it to the middle. And then we'll go in, and I don't think it's got to be that diameter. Okay, it looks a little bit different, maybe a bit. Let's just go S, scale it, and it's not right in the middle. I don't know where to put that. Sure we're saving. So we could do something like that, maybe a bit smaller, and then I'll copy that. Will I don't know, scale, but yeah, I'll just scale it globally. And this piece, I guess, doesn't indent like that one, so I want to make another circle, so I might as well just grab a circle, Shift Alt to click that one. I'm in edge selection for this and go Shift D to bring it out, S to scale it down, P, separate by selection, so it's a new object of its own. Let's say we have something like this. I'll make it a bit bigger. Let's just extrude it up and select it all and bring it down. And I think this one's off to the side a little bit. So what we can do is look from the top and just press G to grab and move it over there and just have a look at this. Okay, so now what are we going to do? A little bit taller, and we're going to close it off, I guess. So let's do that. Let's grab this edge up here, Shift Alt and click that edge, make it a bit taller, and let's go E and S, scale it in, F to make a face. No, maybe I won't do, yeah, well, what should we do? Let's do F to make a face. And then grab this edge, Control B to bevel, and just have, say, one or two edges in there, and bring another edge loop up here maybe. And shade smooth. And it looked like it had like an indentation in it. I'm going to bring another edge loop up here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Control B to split it. Let's do that. And then I'll bring it up a bit. And then I'm going to press E and S and bring it in. Now another edge loop up. Makes like a cut. And an edge loop down. And I probably will need another edge loop to sharpen this up. Maybe even one more here. What's that? All right, now that I look at that, it doesn't look big enough to make a difference, so I'm going to make it bigger. Shift H to focus on that, period key to zoom in on that. And what I'll do is I'll look from an orthographic view like number 1, go into wireframe, And I'm going to B, and I'm going to box select right around there, and now I'm going to pull it down. And I'm also going to throw in an edge loop here, and Control B to split it like that. So I get this effect. All it takes to bring everything back. I don't know whether it's visible. With the cavity shader, we might be able to see a little bit more on that. Okay. And so we gotta have that, this piece, and that piece I can do later. It's sort of like all the wires and stuff. Now, how's this looking for height? It's probably all right for now. I want to make these pieces now with some indentations here and a couple of other indentations there. And so what I'm going to do is make sure I've got that circle down there selected. And I'm going to set the origin to geometry and bring my 3D cursor right there. I think I'm going to bring in a brand new circle for this. And I'm going to up this to 64. And I'll tell you why I did that in a moment. As to scale. I'll bring it to about there. Think of how far out I want this to stick. Maybe even further. And I may have to scale all of this down to fit in there better. I'm going to do that. I'm going to press E and S and come in. And imagine it goes in. Let's select the whole thing and bring it up. I'm going to look down from the top and then wireframe. Shift Alt to click that again. So that comes in sort of like part and overlaps onto there. Just a little bit. Something like that. Okay. Now, back into solid view. Shift H just to focus on that and look down from the top. I only want a part of this. I'm going to go into edit mode. And I'm going to just start chopping away. I'm going to want, actually maybe we'll do it this way. Let's press 3 for face selection and C. And let's just take a section of this. Maybe not that. Maybe that section there. Let's go Control I. And let's get rid of that, first of all, those faces. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I get rid of that one as well. And I had that. Let's Alt H brings up back. Let's take this. Let's extrude down. So I used 64 so that I could 1, 2, 3, 4, so that these were a little bit closer together. And I was thinking what I would do is I would just press I twice and do this, and then extrude them in. And it may not look exactly like this, but it's something like that. Let's see what kind of bevel will go onto this. Let's try angle. And the geometry, let's try arc. Let's try shade smooth. And we're going to do more, so this doesn't matter yet. I'll put on weighted normal. And we'll try auto smooth. Now, I hope that doesn't seem like it comes out too far. Alright, at any rate. Alright. What if I want to scale this in the Y? That'll change the curvature a little bit. It's probably okay. Okay. And so, let's see. I'm going to put in some circles. And I'm probably going to put one in here and one in here. So let's just select that. Shift S, cursor to selected. Bring the 3D cursor right there. So I can bring in a cylinder. I'll just leave it at the defaults and scale it down. Now, one thing I should mention, because I left it at the defaults, let's pull that up, is it doesn't have any ends, and we need ends to do a Boolean. So I'm going to cap that and Shift Alt and click there, cap that, make it end. Okay. I'm going to scale it down nice and small. I'm going to start pushing that in. But before I do that, I want to look here at where that's placed. I don't want it on an edge, so I'm going to put it somewhere around there. Maybe there. And I'm going to, just by eye, Shift D, G. Maybe look at wireframe to see. And just, you know, place this somewhere. You know, what if I did them there? Might not be exactly the same. Might even be a bit big, but I kind of don't mind exaggerating them. Let's Control J and join those. But let's make sure my faces are facing the right way, and they are. Let's see if it doesn't go quite that deep. We'll give it a try. So I'm going to select this, come back here, add Boolean. I'm going to drag it to the top. I want difference, and let's try these. Click that. Looks kind of nice. I almost like those there, but let's go ahead and apply that. Let's take these and we'll delete them. So I got that. Let's save. So we got one more there. So maybe I'll leave that one there. And what I'll do now to position another one sort of going around is I'll select this circle and I'll make sure that I've got my origin geometry there. Yeah, I'll Shift S, cursor to selected. My 3D cursor is in the middle of this circle. So now when I select this, I'll set the origin to the 3D cursor. I can Shift D and rotate around the Z, the blue arrow, RZ, and it'll kind of go around the circle like that. And I'll just position another one somewhere like that. Okay. Yeah. And I have that. Let's just have one more look at everything. Yeah, everything looks good. Okay. It comes out to there. So I may adjust the size later. So that is what we end up with at this point. Still more work to do, and maybe some scaling to do, but we'll leave it at that for the time being, and we'll come back.